Ashoka, the emperor who gave up war. I mean, just think about that for a second. An emperor giving up war? Today, we're diving into the story of a ruler who, right at the height of his power, made a choice so wild it changed everything. He didn't just win a war, he walked away from it completely.
So, where does a story this big even begin? Well, it might just start with something you have in your pocket right now. Go on, take a look at your money. We see it every day, right? But do we really look at it? Let me tell you a quick story about someone who did. Okay, so there's this young girl, a Russian, it's her birthday, and her grandfather gives her some brand new cash. And as she's looking at it, past the face of Gandhiji that we all know, she notices something small, a tiny set of lions. And she just thinks, wait a minute, why are there lions on our money?
And that little symbol? Well, it has a history that is absolutely epic. It comes from this massive stone pillar in a place called Sarnath. We're talking about a sculpture carved over 2,000 years ago. It's a physical link, a straight line connecting us, right now, to a completely different world.
So that symbol in your pocket, the one Roshan spotted, it connects you directly to one of the most incredible rulers in all of history, Emperor Ashoka. The story of those lions, yeah, that's his story.
Now, before we get to his big change of heart, you really need to understand the kind of power we're talking about. This guy was on another level. He didn't just run a kingdom, he was the head of a truly massive empire.
So Ashoka was part of what's called the Mauryan dynasty. A dynasty is basically when rule stays in the family, right? It goes from one generation to the next. His grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya, was the one who started the whole thing, over 2,300 years ago. Then came his son, Bindusara, and after him, his son, Ashoka.
But what's the big deal about calling it an empire versus a kingdom? Is there really a difference? Oh yeah, it's all about scale. Empires are just bigger, way bigger. And when you're that big, you need gigantic armies to protect your borders, and you need a ton more people, officials, to run the whole show. And of course, to collect all the taxes to pay for everything.
And wow, just look at this map. This really puts it into perspective. See all those red dots? Each one of those marks a spot where one of Ashoka's inscriptions was found. It just gives you this incredible sense of how huge his empire was. It stretched across nearly the entire subcontinent.
So Ashoka was good at his job, a very successful conqueror. He was constantly expanding the empire he got from his father and grandfather. But then came one war, one single brutal victory that would change everything, for him and for the empire.
100,000. Just let that number sink in. 100,000 people killed in one single war. The war to conquer a place called Kalinga, which is modern-day coastal Orissa. And that's not even counting the countless others who were captured, ripped from their homes. The sheer scale of that violence it's just staggering, almost impossible to wrap your head around.
And seeing that, the horror of what he had done, it just broke him. He was filled with this deep sorrow. And we know this because he wrote it down himself, had it carved into stone for everyone to see forever. He said he was sad. He realized that just conquering people with an army, that's not a real win. The real victory, he decided, was winning people over in a totally different way.
And this, right here, is what makes Ashoka's story so unbelievable. I mean, seriously, think about it. Can you name another king, any ruler in history, who won a huge war and then just stopped? He's the only one we know of who gave up conquest after winning. It was a move that nobody had ever seen before.
So if he wasn't going to conquer anymore, what was he going to do? Well, he turned his back on war completely and adopted this whole new philosophy, a new way to rule, a new way to live, which he called Dhamma. And this wasn't just some personal resolution, It became the new foundation for his entire empire.
So what exactly was this Dhamma? It's important to know it wasn't a religion. He wasn't telling people to worship a certain god or anything like that. It was more like a moral code, a set of instructions for living a good life, inspired by the teachings of the Buddha. He basically saw his job title change from emperor to teacher. He wanted to be like a father to his people, guiding them.
And the ideas themselves are pretty simple. Things we can all get behind. Respect your elders. Be compassionate to all creatures. Be gentle with slaves and servants. Give gifts to monks and priests. But then there's this one, and it was a real game changer for the time. Respect all religions, not just your own. He even said that if you criticize someone else's religion just to make yours look better, you're actually doing more harm to your own faith. How amazing is that?
And he didn't just talk the talk. He really put his money where his mouth was, using the full power of his empire to spread this message. He created a new job, basically, officials called Dhamma Mahamata, and their whole purpose was to go from place to place teaching people about Dhamma. He carved his messages on giant rocks and pillars so everyone could read them. And he even sent messengers to other countries, we're talking Syria, Egypt, Greece, to share his new path of peace.
Okay, so let's bring it all the way back. Back to Roshan, back to that symbol on the money. What does all this history have to do with us, right here, right now?
Well, that lion pillar at Sarnath, the one on the money, Ashoka built that. And those 4 lions, pointing out to the 4 corners of the world, they represent the spreading of his Dhamma, his message of peace. That symbol was so powerful, so meaningful, that when modern India was formed, it was chosen to be the national emblem.
And it's not just a cool historical fact. As India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, put it, Ashoka's messages, they still speak to us. We can understand them today. His ideas about peace, about being tolerant and compassionate, they're just as important now as they were thousands of years ago. Which kind of leaves you wondering, right? What can we, today, still learn from the emperor who gave up war?